All right, Sean, we are live, baby. Everybody out there, I am JC Peretz. This is my man. This is the secret weapon right here, Mr. Sean McLaughlin.
The
Guys,
secret weapon. Wow.
I mean, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, we do so much work around here. We have so much scans. We have such a huge team all over the world to come up with what we think are the best trade ideas to put on in any given market environment. But then the secret weapon, Sean McLaughlin, comes in and turns that research and turns those trade ideas into trades in the options market to really leverage the tools and the strategies that we have in the options markets that we don't have in equities and ETFs, right, Sean? There's a reason why you only trade options.
Yeah, look, I've traded everything and everything has its place. And I get asked all the time, options must be the best thing in the world. Is that why you trade them? And no, that's not the answer. It's just, different products trade different ways and attract different types of personalities. And for me, I like trading options because to me, it's like putting a puzzle together. And I find that endlessly stimulating, endlessly fascinating. And, you know, I say this a lot, options give us options, right? There's no one right way to express say a bullish thesis or a bearish thesis. There's lots of different ways we can participate, which to me I find endlessly interesting. So that's why I trade options.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to manipulate the risks associated with putting on a trade as well as the potential profits of putting on a trade. You're able to manipulate that. We put on a trade the other day where we had a capped upside. That capped upside was 300%. So when we were deliberating the trade, I'm like, I'm okay with that. Okay, so we're going to pay less to cap our upside. So that means we can only make 300%. I'm good with that, right? But obviously we would have had theoretically more potential had we not put that on. So let's get down to it. So tomorrow, 3 o'clock, we're gonna have the options execution lab, right? That's you got to call things labs. That's how the kids talk these days, right? The options execution lab
That's what you
tomorrow, three
say.
o'clock. And what are we gonna do? We are going to walk through exactly how we put on a trade, right? So last Thursday it was kind of like, all right, in different scenarios, what do we want to do, right? You can either be bullish or bearish, right? When making directional bets, you either think it goes up or you think it goes down. And we're either in a low volatility regime or a high volatility regime. So there's only 4 possible scenarios. For each one of those scenarios, there's the ideal trade. There are other types of trades, of course, but there's the ideal trade for each one of those 4 scenarios. Now, when we actually put it on, we have to decide, well, which expiration are we going to use? Which strike price are we going to use? And how do we find those? And that's what we're going to do tomorrow at the Options Execution Lab. Spencer, if you want to drop the link, this is for members of All Star Options only. Sean, why should we be excited for this trade other than the fact that you and I are sitting here 24 hours before that and we don't know what type of trade we're going to put on? We might have our suspicions, but we haven't decided what trade we're going to walk through tomorrow before the close and actually put it on in front of everybody.
Well, that's the thing. Like, not only do we not know what type of trade we're going to put on, I don't know what symbol we're going to trade it in. Right? We're gonna have our analyst meeting tomorrow morning, like we do every Wednesday, and we're internally going to kick around some ideas. We get the whole analyst team involved. Everyone shares their best ideas. We debate them. We laugh at them if someone has a terrible idea, or we say that's a good idea, but here's another way to do it better. And we kick around those ideas, and then you and I tomorrow afternoon, you'll get to see the end result of, okay, we've got the idea. Now let's show you how we're going to trade it. And we'll walk you through, like you said, how we pick the strategy, what strikes we pick, what expiration we pick, how we manage risk, where we take profits, all that stuff. We'll go through that whole process for you just to give you a flavor of what you can expect with All Star Options.
And here's the thing. So not only do we not know what ticker symbols we're going to use, but each one of those ticker symbols, and this is really important for everybody to understand, right? So if you're listening out there and you're wondering, well, how do they choose and everything like that? You see, different ticker symbols have different levels of volatility relative to themselves. So when we talk about whether it's a high volatility regime or a low volatility regime, at extremes, when the market is very volatile, you're going to see a lot of higher price volatility in a lot of stocks. And when the volatility across the market is relatively low, you're going to also see that across a lot of stocks. But that's not always necessarily the case. In fact, in this market, you can argue that in some stocks, not you can argue, it's just what it is. In some stocks, you actually have low volatility regimes. In others, you have much higher volatility regimes because it's relative to themselves. It's not on an absolute basis. Is it high volatility or low volatility? It's specifically relative to itself. So if we're looking at Apple, it's where's Apple's implied volatility relative to Apple's implied volatility over the last 9 to 12 months. If we're talking about a utility stock, oh, this utility stock is so boring. Maybe, but volatility could potentially be elevated relative to what it is historically for that particular stock. So it's on a case by case basis. And we're going to walk through it all tomorrow, 3 o'clock, for members of All Star Options. Sean, any thoughts on how I kind of laid that out? You like that?
No, you know what's amazing is we started this 7 years ago, and back then I had to give the whole ramble that you just gave, but you've learned all this from working with me for the last 7 years, and that's really what I hope that you, the viewer right now, will get out of working with us. Right? You'll learn the processes that we go through. You'll experience them. You'll have the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, and you'll learn by doing. And if nothing else, you come away from your work with us as someone who's a much more knowledgeable, experienced, and confident options trader.
That's right. I mean, it's night and day from when, before I met you, Sean, and I go out and I talk to people about options. They think like I'm like this options expert. Excuse me, folks. Far from it, right? It's literally what I've learned every day. And I guess I'm proof here, Sean, that you can explain things in really good ways, that you set the trade plan so well, because even a dummy like me can figure it out. Because you know what I really like about Sean's strategies and what we implement at All Star Options is that it's really not that complicated, right? I sound all smart and fancy and stuff like that, but it's really like stupid, dumb, like easy, very simple strategies. We want to buy an option. Do we need to finance that option or not? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's really that simple. So I really like that simple 1, 2, 3 approach. And we're going to go over. And what I really like, and we've never done this. Like we say, oh, we put on a trade this morning, or hey, we're going to put on this trade this week. But we've never actually live in front of everybody actually executed the trade. And that's exactly what we're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to show you how the sausage is made here at All Star Options, and I think you'll find it enlightening and encouraging.
No question. Step 1, right? Essentially peruse through the All Star Charts Research Trade Ideas page, right? Is that step 1? Kind of just check out the favorite trades, right? Get right to the point.
Yeah, that's usually where we start. That's certainly where I start.
And then from there, we're filtering out the names that we don't want to be interested in. A lot of names might not trade enough options liquidity, for example. So that's out.
Sure.
Right. In some cases, it's something with maybe it's not even a stock, right? Maybe it's like a commodity futures trade. That's out also. And then in some cases, we already have a trade on in that particular stock, or in some cases, maybe too many positions in that sector, right? Also, so we might be looking elsewhere. So there's a lot of different variables to deciding, hey, this Freeport McMoran looks pretty good, or hey, this, bearish Lululemon trade looks pretty good. Then you have to go to the options chain, and correct me if I'm wrong. At that point, Sean, when you're looking through the different options chain where you think there might be opportunity, sometimes you take a look and say, nah, there's nothing here. Is that right?
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of factors that come into play. There might not be enough volume there. There might not be enough open interest. The bid-ask spreads might be too wide for us to do a multi-legged spread. There's too many things that can go wrong in a scenario like that. So yeah, there's a lot of things we have to take into consideration. It's always on a case-by-case basis. There's no one formula that fits for everything. But we take the big picture. We take 4 or 5 different points of view or data points and say, okay, this is a trade that works, or this is a trade that doesn't.
And then when it comes to the treasure map, it's basically like a treasure map, because it's like the path of how we're going to make money. If we hit the fork in the road, which way are we going to go? Essentially, so that I think you said it yourself last week, weeks from now, potentially months from now, you're wondering, what do I do with this Lululemon, or what do I do with this DR Horton? Well, you check the notes, right? You check that treasure map. You check the notes of, hey, we said if this happens that we're going to do this. Oh, okay. So let's just do that, right? It's the way that you set up a trade the roadmap for a trade, the plan itself to execute in the market. I don't know where you learned that. You say it's from trial and error. I've never seen anybody do it as detailed as you do, folks, and you're going to see it firsthand tomorrow, right? So, as a member of All Star Options, you're getting obviously access to tomorrow's execution lab, but you're getting 3 trades a week, direct access to the chat with Sean and the rest of the crew there in at All Star Options, and the execution plan itself. This is a call we're going to buy. This is the put we're going to sell. This is what we're going to pay for each of them. This is what we're going to collect. This is what the net debit is going to be. Now, this is what we're going to do if the stock goes down. This is what we're going to do if the stock goes up. This is where we're going to take profits. This is what the market would have to do to invalidate our thesis, in which case all bets are off and we unwind the trade. So we can always sleep at night because that's what it comes down to, right, Sean? And again, I learned this from you. We want to put on trades where we could sleep just fine. No problemo, right?
That's absolutely right. And like JC said, every trade comes with a plan. The plan is always available to you. You could go back and refer to it. I go back to it and refer to my plans all the time. I have trades that I've been in for 3-4 months, and all of a sudden a price level will get hit because I had an alert set on my platform, and the alert hits, and I'm like, oh, what was I supposed to do there? And boom, I'll go quickly to my notes that all of you have access to. You'll see the blog post. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do if that happens. And then boom, I'll go ahead and do it, and it's great.
Don't forget that members of All Star Options also get the weekly jam session, right? So that jam session is going through each of the open trades, any trades that were closed that week, just to reiterate maybe any changes that might be made, some adjustments. One of the things this year, for example, that we're paying extra attention to is letting our profits run longer, right? So when we have massive profits in a particular trade, we want to let that run. So there's little details that we can add towards the end of the trade to maximize that. That's just one example. But those are the things that we'll talk about, that Sean will certainly guide you through in the weekly jam session, right? I think that's a nice value add.
I think it is. Well, tune in tomorrow. What time are we doing this, JC? Remind everybody what time we're doing this.
3 p.m. Eastern time, right in the members portal for All Star Options. Sean's going to walk you through the exact trade. Don't forget, not only do you get the access to the options execution lab tomorrow, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, but you're also going to get 3 trades a week from Sean that comes directly from All Star Charts Research with the entry, the exit, exactly what the plan is. And I'm a simple man, Sean. I'm a simple man. And that might be what attracts me most to these trade plans is that they're easy to execute, right? It's not that complicated. So I really like that a lot. Folks, if you're listening out there, I'm telling you, join us risk-free, by the way. So if you decide at any point that it's not for you, shoot Mary an email. No problems, full refunds, no questions asked. But at the very least, sign up now so you're there tomorrow. You start getting the trade ideas and ping us on the other side. Let us know what you think.
All right, JC, I'm looking forward to it, buddy. We're gonna knock it out of the park tomorrow.
I can't wait. We're gonna walk through the entire trade from the beginning to the end, and I have a couple of ideas of what we might be doing, but I guess we'll see. Tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m.